Welcome to Always Moving Forward with Renee.
Moving forward.
Good morning and welcome back to part 2 of the Always Moving Forward show with Renee and my co-host, Darrell Waller. And I have to laugh on that because sometimes I mess up his last name. But we have another co-host this morning, Mr. Antoine Bell. You heard me mention his name several times. Matter of fact, on every show. He is the CEO of Bell Global Network. So he'll be joining us real soon. But we're right here coming to you from Oak Park, Michigan. But before we get started, remember, today is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice, rejoice, and rejoice again in it. But I've got a question here for my partner here who is leaving us going to Florida. We're going to really miss this gentleman. Not only am I going to miss him, but my husband's going to miss him, and we have several friends. He's very knowledgeable, not only about the topic we're going to talk about, but other things as well. And our topic today is wheelchair basketball. So Darrell, tell me, number one, is there a wheelchair basketball team in Michigan?
Absolutely. There's a team here in Detroit that's sponsored by the Rehab Institute of Michigan called the Detroit Diehards. There's also a team over in Grand Rapids. They're sponsored by Married Pre-Bed Hospital, and they're the Married Pre-Bed Pacers. I'm not sure about other teams. There may be some teams around the state that are not affiliated necessarily with the National Wheelchair Basketball Association, but they could still exist.
Okay, did you say Mary?
Mary Freebed.
Mary Freebed. A female, she has a team, or is that just the name?
That's the name of the hospital that they're sponsored by.
Oh, that's a hospital. Okay, that's
the
a
Rehab
hospital.
Hospital.
Okay, good. Now, if someone who's listening, they can contact, what is it, RIM?
RIM, or the Rehab Institute of Michigan, which is part of the DMC.
Okay, and that's located right on Mack, isn't it?
Mack Avenue.
Mack Avenue.
Just east of Woodward.
Okay, Mack Avenue, east of Woodward. You can contact them if you're interested in playing the sport. Now tell us, how did you get involved in wheelchair basketball?
Well, it had to do with a car that wouldn't start. I was over on the east side visiting my girlfriend at the time and found a place to go get my car fixed, and it just so happened that the gentleman that was sitting at the front counter played wheelchair basketball. And so when he saw me walking up, my foot was hurting and I was limping a little bit, and so he got all excited, tried to contain his excitement, but he started talking to me all about wheelchair basketball. And I'm just trying to get my car fixed, And long story short, I went to practice that night, got in a chair, didn't have a clue what I was doing, got taken significant advantage of by the players that were there. As a matter of fact, the team that I started out with, the Detroit Sparks, we have more players in the Hall of Fame than any other team in the history of the league. And so when I walked into that gym, there were 6 Hall of Famers, or future Hall of Famers.
Right.
And the guy whose chair that I used that night was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we ended up having a total of 9 Hall of Fame players from that team.
Okay, now tell me, are you in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. In the Hall of Fame. Where's my husband? I want him to go and get a basketball right quick. Okay, as I said, we have Mr. Antoine Bell joining us because he has a heart for basketball. And he could not let me interview this Hall of Famer, Darrell, without him joining us asking some questions. So you know what, Bell, take it away. You ask some questions.
Hey, God bless you. It's a pleasure to be up here with you all. For those who don't know me, Antoine Bell. Some people know me as Antoine Quaboy Bell, CEO of Bell Global Network. Hey, make sure y'all continue to tune on to this show.
Yes, yes.
Awesome show.
Yes,
Awesome
tune
women
on,
guys.
tune on.
Yeah, she bringing a variety of different guests and topics you never know what to expect. Yeah. Hey, but it's a blessing to be sitting here next to you, bro. Like for real, because as I was taping the other show, just getting your bio information, you part of history.
A little bit.
And Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
Like that's prestige, that's top of the line. When were you actually inducted into the Hall of Fame?
2001.
Wow. That's incredible.
You know,
Come on, man. Come on.
Thank you.
Like, come on, that's big. You know, when you think about it, because how many people are actually in the Hall of Fame? Do you know?
I don't know the number offhand, but there are a few. I mean, the sport started in, I think, 46.
Wow.
The organization was actually started around 49.
Wow.
And then, you know, so there's a few people there.
Wow. That's super incredible though.
Mm-hmm.
So did you think when you first started that this would be, you know, something that you would be doing for a long time?
Actually, I had no clue as to what I was getting involved with. And, you know, so when I started playing, I was like, okay, if I could do this for 20 years, that would be cool. And here we are 40 plus years later, and
Come on.
I'm still at it.
wow.
Ain't that incredible?
So you've been playing wheelchair basketball longer than I've been on earth.
Stop it. Stop it.
How many years?
I started in 1978.
Wow.
This was year 41.
Okay, so almost longer than I've been on earth.
Oh, that's right. We can say that about you.
Right.
Well, that's incredible though. Like it's incredible. So, was it hard to really learn how to play?
No, I mean, I knew how to play basketball. And so the key is learning how to really maneuver the chair effectively and to make it second nature.
Wow.
So that
Yeah.
you're not thinking about it, you're just playing.
So was it something different? So, because you say you know how to play basketball beforehand.
Right.
And it's a tall brother. He's sitting down. But how tall are you?
6'7".
Yeah, see, 6'7". So, I would imagine that you played what, center,
Yes.
power forward.
I could play pretty much any position, but my primary spot was center.
So was it like, did you have to relearn tools and fundamentals?
No, it wasn't for me, it wasn't that great of an adjustment. It was just the chair.
Oh.
There is some adjustment when it comes to shooting, especially from distance, because when you're playing standing up, you use your legs to
Yeah.
shoot. Well, obviously, when you're sitting in a chair, your legs don't really factor in too much.
Wow.
So
Now,
it's real
now you said
more
shooting.
of a-
Is
Absolutely.
it the same points
Oh,
as
yeah, it's the
stand
same
up?
game.
Oh, same
Same
thing.
game. Same
Okay.
court, same basket height, all of that.
Okay, so when you're at the end of that circle, I see them that
The
have
three-point line.
Yeah.
right, you shoot
yeah,
there,
it's
you
the
get
same
3 points.
sport.
Now, what about the height of the hoop?
It's the same. Everything's the same.
Wow.
The only thing that's different is we're sitting in a wheelchair playing the game.
Okay.
That's incredible.
It certainly is.
So like, what's your your ultimate specialty?
Being big.
So were you good at defense, offense? Making threes, making layups.
I was pretty well-rounded player.
All around.
I could do most things pretty well. I was My initial forte was rebounding.
Oh.
Because even though I knew how to play basketball, it wasn't my first love. I was a football player first and foremost. I played in high school and college, played no basketball.
Wow.
Other than just pickup, yeah.
That's being able to make that transition. You're an athlete, because you said you played football. What position did you play?
I was a defensive end.
You was good,
I was average.
but you had the love for the game.
I loved the game, absolutely.
Wow. You know, tell me this, to be a wheelchair player
Mhm.
of any sport, and I know you're well versed on this,
Mhm.
of any sport, do you have to have a handicap?
Yes, you do have to have a disability. Some of the disabilities may vary by sport, but in general, you have to have a lower limb disability. In some cases, if your arms are severely affected, that would qualify you as well.
Okay. So were there any team members who had, you know, was it amputee on the arm?
Well, actually, I played with a young man when I lived in Atlanta who was a quadruple amp.
Wow.
Wow.
So he lost both his legs
Right.
and his arms above the elbow. And the brother could play.
Oh my God.
He was at a disadvantage because he couldn't reach up very high because his arms were right here.
Wow.
But he could play.
Right.
He could
Wow,
flat out play.
That's something. Wow. And people would probably underestimate him, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But when they found out, like, he just, come on, that's just being able, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
And
I
he
mean,
just learned.
his thing was he was fast. So he was a really good defender. And he could break away and get some layups on you, you know. But he was tough.
So I know you got a chance to travel
Yes,
to a lot of different places playing basketball.
absolutely.
Okay, what are some of the places you've been to?
Okay. Well, I've been all over North America, U.S., of course, Canada, Mexico, been down to South America to Argentina and Brazil, been all over Europe, lived in Italy for a couple of seasons, played in France and Spain and Holland and Belgium and England.
Come on, man.
Played over in Korea, played in Australia.
Hey, that's
Wow. So you've been around.
Yes.
And now you're leaving us and you're moving to the sunshine state of Florida.
Get a little sunshine on my face.
Get a little sunshine on your face. But to play the sport, basketball, what's the age?
Well, for wheelchair basketball, it starts, I think, at about 8 years old. And I've known people who have played into their 70s.
Okay, so they have the little junior league.
Yeah, they have a junior league, which is either 6 or 8, I'm not sure exactly. And they play up until 18. And then they either go to college or they get into the adult men's league.
Wow.
Or the women's.
That's incredible. You know, that's just people. I wouldn't even know that first and foremost that this league existed until she actually educated me on it, and now I'm getting the chance to talk to you and just learn more about it. You know, and that it's a big sport. It's like, man, it's just a blessing to know that. And also, I heard you go by the name Tree. And you was telling us that people would recognize you as a recognized athlete, and people would say, "Hey, you say, do you know such and such by his real name?" But then they say Tree.
Oh, I know Tree.
Ain't that something?
I know, Tree. I'm telling you. But you know what? I've got to get this in, fellas. Viewers call or text or email me. Let me know what you thought about Tree here. Okay, and you get a chance to see Mr. Bell, the one who works the camera here. But let me know. You can reach me at 313-657-5556 or email me at gwealths111@gmail.com. Don't only tell me how you like the show, but if you need prayer, give me a call. look forward to hearing from you. Okay, fellas, let's go.
Okay, now as far as your whole career is concerned, what's the greatest moment in your career, whether it's the individual, stats or All-Star game or the Hall of Fame?
And I guess the Hall of Fame would have to stand out
Yes.
because it's the culmination of all of the things that I was able to experience and to achieve, not only on the personal level, but as a member of a team. I've always been in the team sports, and so.
Well, what about outside the Hall of Fame? 'Cause I know that's the top of the top.
Oh, well.
The cream of the crop.
It is.
Winning Paralympic gold, winning world championships, winning national championships,
Wow.
all of that good stuff.
Wow, wow.
Because what makes that so great is because you don't do that by yourself. You do it with a group of guys that you really, care for and become a part of their lives. They become a part of yours, and
You
you
extend
get
your
to
family.
share that. Yeah, absolutely.
moments.
You get to share those types of things with them, and then not to mention, of course, your natural family. That supported you and pushed you and loved you and everything along the way to get you there.
Right.
Trophy case looking big, ain't it?
Well, to be honest with you, I've gotten rid of a whole lot of them. I only have a few of them because, I didn't, for whatever reason, I just, it was great to earn those things and so forth, but, I didn't want to carry those things around.
Right.
So.
We talked about the wheelchair and how the wheelchair is different from the one that's right here on the street.
Right.
But just give us an idea, how much does a wheelchair cost?
A custom fitted, high performance, lightweight basketball wheelchair will cost you between $3,000 and $4,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Is that supplied by the actual team, or do you have to buy it yourself?
No, you're probably going to have to get that yourself.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now, there are some scholarships for younger players and things like that. There are some organizations that will help, but in general, and until you become a top-notch player,
Like yourself?
you're going to buy a wheelchair. Once you become a top-notch player, you will get sponsorship,
Wow.
and they will provide you with a chair.
Okay, but what advice, tell us, that a coach, one of your coaches gave you that you carried with you, that you remember today?
Well, it's funny because in wheelchair basketball, it's the same as stand-up basketball, but then there are obviously the differences. And one of the big things in wheelchair basketball is breakaway layups, right? So you get ahead of the pack, you get out there uncontested and get a layup. Well, a lot of players like to shoot what we call an underhand scoop. So they go to the basket and they do that with the ball. And that can be iffy at times. So when I first started playing, we were practicing, and I'm brand new. And one of the guys who I played with, I believe may have created the scoop shot.
Oh,
So everybody on our team, we were doing layups and everything. So I started doing and stopped practice.
to watch you.
No,
Oh,
to tell me that's not what you do. You shoot a basic layup, which
Oh.
is to come
oh,
overhead. And so they said, well, you can make 9 out of 10 of those on a regular basis, then you can start doing that.
Oh.
So I became very proficient at shooting layups, just so I could shoot a scoop shot. So I had motivation.
And then you became good at the scoop shot,
Oh yeah, yeah,
like the finger roll.
yeah. What you do is you come up and you kind of spin it a little bit so it hits the glass and goes.
Wow.
Because you're shooting from under the basket, right?
Yeah.
And so you flip it up, put a little spin, let it hit the basket.
Now, I got a good question for you. Was it like a lot of, injuries concerned, like as far as like y'all clashing wheelchairs
No.
or anything of
No,
that nature?
there's a lot of contact. Basketball is a contact
Physical,
sport.
yeah.
And, but no, the primary injuries that wheelchair basketball players tend to have are their shoulders.
Oh.
And the reason being is because obviously, as a basketball player, you're using your arms and stuff to pass and to rebound and all those things, but you also have to use your arms as a means of propulsion.
Wow.
Because you've got to push the chair to get in position to do the things that you need to do. So your arms become also your legs.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you pushing the chair with one arm and dribbling with the next.
Yeah, you can do
but
that.
then you cross over,
You can, or you,
switch it up.
or so in wheelchair basketball, what you can do actually, when you have possession of the ball, you can put the ball in your lap,
Okay.
push the chair twice, and then you have to dribble it,
Oh, wow.
pass it, or shoot it.
Oh.
But you can take 2 pushes, dribble, put it back in your lap, take 2 more pushes, and continue to repeat that. No one does that,
Wow.
but that is the dribble. But if you take 3 pushes, that's considered travel.
Wow.
Well, just listening to you, what you just told us, I think it's hard playing wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
Because, when you're stand-up basketball, you got it in your hand, you just run down the court.
Yeah.
And you take the ball, dribble, do your thing and shoot it. But wheelchair, you've got to
Maneuver yourself.
maneuver the wheelchair, hold yourself to the point that you don't fall with the wheelchair. You got to have the ball because you said 2 pushes. And you got to do something with that ball.
Well, most players will actually push and dribble at the same time. You might take the first 2 pushes to get momentum, and then after that, it's just dribbling and pushing at the same time.
I think I'd like to see a game. What about
Yeah, I
you?
would too.
I really would
And
like to
I
see
love the
a
game of basketball, and I would love to see a game. It seems like it's still more difficult than playing basketball.
Right.
It's
regular
different.
basketball. Yeah.
It's different, that's all. I mean, to be a competitive athlete is difficult in any sport.
You
And
get
so,
tired.
Not particularly.
Seems like your
that's-
upper part, because you moving those hands.
I mean, it's not, because you're doing this a lot, it's not very aerobically challenging per se. You're not going to raise your heart rate up like you would running,
Yeah.
but it's good exercise still.
Okay.
But you don't get the same level of fatigue. Your arms get tired.
Right.
But
Now, okay, the wheelchair sports are for both males and females.
man, woman, and child.
Man, woman, and child. Would you say that there's more males in
Absolutely.
a wheelchair sport than females?
Oh, absolutely. Because men are crazier for one, so they're more likely to be injured. Right?
Wow.
I mean, it's just face it.
That's something.
Okay.
But yeah, there are far more men than there are women. But there are a lot of women who play
Okay.
all over the world.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's something. It's like as far as team, is it how many players on the team, and is it a coach, and
It's the same sport.
Okay.
I mean, because wheelchair basketball is a little bit different in terms of some of the dynamics and logistics of a team, but generally there are going to be 10 to 12 players on the team. Sometimes there may be more people in a certain area, and they may have 15, 18 people, because instead of dividing up into 2 teams, they just have one big team. But yeah, you better have a coach if you want to succeed. Otherwise, you're just playing recreation.
Yeah. And anything goes.
Right.
So they have the same thing, Division 1, Division 2, and
Division 3.
3.
And we have a women's division, and we have a juniors division.
Okay.
And then the juniors division is also broken up into age groups, so I'm not sure what they are, but there's prep, which are the younger kids, there's JV, and then there's varsity. Varsity are the oldest. So I think the JV would be like middle school age, and then the varsity would be like high school age.
And then I got my last question for you. I know we're running out of time. Is there like a, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James of this game?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we've had our superstars, absolutely.
But is it somebody who's like the GOAT, like that sit above everybody?
Well, I don't believe in that whole concept.
For sure.
Because it's very subjective.
Yeah.
I mean, people will say that Jordan was the best player, but what is your criteria?
Right.
Who's got the most championships?
Right. Bill Russell.
Enough said.
For sure.
Okay, well, they know about it. I'm just learning. But viewers, let me just say again, don't forget to text me or email me. Watch the show. The number is on the show. But we've really had a pleasure today with our friend, your new friend here, Darrell Tree, basketball, whoop. We really enjoyed having you.
Pleasure.
And when you come back, you've got to come
Part
and
three.
sit in the chair.
For
part three.
Okay.
Part three.
That's a deal.
And if you think you get down there, don't like it, come back and coach a little league, the junior team here.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at that. I mean, it can be very political. So, if they have a coach, then they have a coach, and we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Wow. Hey.
Well, he knows about it then. Like I said, I don't know. But listen, remember, God loves you, and so do we. So until next week, we'll see you then. You enjoy Always Moving Forward with Renee.
Moving forward.
What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Vicki Winans, and you're watching Bell Global Network.
Hi, everybody. I'm telling you, everything that happened to me that was good, God did it. I'm Evelyn Turrentine, AG, and you're watching the Bell Global Network.
This is Pastor D. Alexander Bullock of Preachers of Detroit, and you're watching the Bell Global Network.
This is Bishop Edgar Van of Second Ebenezer Church in Detroit, Michigan, and you're watching the Bell Global Network.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Stanis. You know me best as Thelma from the TV show Good Times, and you are watching Bell Global Network.
Hi, I'm Clifton Davis, and you're watching Bell Global Network.